African economies are among the youngest in the world and are expected to experience double-digit growth by 2030, according to the UN's World Economic Situation and Prospects report. Africa is a land of contrasts, with some of the world's poorest countries and yet some of the richest nations. Africa is abundant in natural resources, holding 1/6 of the world's natural resource endowments, according to the World Bank. However, despite its richness, the population of the continent remains disproportionately poor. The reason behind Africa's historical poverty has been the subject of countless reports, theories, and debates. Some attribute it to the influence of the EIF and crippling debts, while others blame large companies for exploiting African countries for immense profits. The richest countries in Africa have experienced a construction boom, with a number of people building homes in cities like Lagos, Nairobi, Cairo, and Johannesburg doubling in the past decade. The United Nations World Urbanization Prospects predicts that the number of people living in urban areas will increase by over 70 in the next 45 years. As this trend continues, more cities will emerge on the African continent to meet the growing housing need. Coming in at number 10 is Ghana, with a GDP shy of $76 billion in the last year and projected to reach $101 billion. Ghana, located in West Africa, boasts a diverse and resource-rich economy. It was the first sub-Saharan African country to gain independence from colonial rule and achieve the target of having extreme poverty. Foreign investment has been attracted to Ghana due to its positive business environment, leading to economic growth of over 6 in the past 2 years. The services sector contributes around 50% of Ghana's GDP and employs nearly 30% of the workforce. Industry follows closely behind, contributing just under 25% of the GDP, while agriculture plays a significant role as well. Ghana's abundance of natural resources, particularly gold and cocoa beans, fuels its economic boom. These resources make up 50% of the country's foreign exchange, with other major exports including petroleum, timber, and gold. Next on the list at number 9 is Kenya, a country in East Africa known for its vast landscapes and wildlife. It boasts a staggering GDP of over $100 billion. It has a stable living environment, a well-established coffee and tea sector, and a rapidly growing agricultural sector, making it the wealthiest country in Southeast and Central Africa. Historically, Kenya's coastline has served as a strategic port for Asian and Arabian traders, making it a trade hub for the region. While the Kenyan economy is not heavily reliant on the oil sector like some other countries on the list, it still experiences diverse positive growth. Kenya has emerged as one of the fastest growing economies in sub-Saharan Africa, with a GDP growth of 5.7 in 2020. This growth can be attributed to positive investor confidence, a stable political climate, a thriving service sector, a favorable macroeconomic environment, and a clear business agenda. The industrial sector contributes almost 50% of Kenya's GDP, while agriculture contributes 35%, with coffee, tea, and maize being the main products. The tourism, financial services, and technology industries have also experienced significant growth, and petroleum plays a significant role in the country's foreign exchange. By 2030, it is projected to reach $155.2 billion. In the 8th spot is Ethiopia, located in the Horn of Africa. This landlocked country is split by the Great Rift Valley and is famous for being the birthplace of coffee. Ethiopia is the highest producer of coffee and honey in Africa, which contributes significantly to its foreign exchange. Other exports include legumes, oily seeds, and cut flowers. With a GDP of over $100 billion, Ethiopia's economy comprises agriculture, construction, manufacturing, tourism, food processing, resources, and energy. Agriculture is the most promising resource, making up over 40% of the GDP, 60% of exports, and employing more than 80% of the population. Ethiopia has achieved stable annual economic growth of 9.9% since 2010, attracting foreign investment. In 2018, the government launched an ambitious economic reform to further open up the economy and drive transformation. The country aims to become a middle-income economy by 2025 with a poverty level of 31s in 2015. However, challenges such as high consumer inflation, socio-political instability, and an underdeveloped private sector need to be addressed. By 2030, Ethiopia's GDP is projected to soar to $135 billion. At number 7 is Libya, with projections estimating its GDP to reach $128, 2 cents billion in 2030. However, the current turmoil following the fall of dictator Muammar Gaddafi may impact these calculations. Libya has one of the highest per capita incomes in Africa, with oil revenues being its main source of income. Oil and natural gas accounted for almost 3/4 of the national income and nearly all of the country's export earnings at the beginning of the 21st century. The government exerted strong control over the economy under Muammar al-Gaddafi, nationalizing the petroleum industry and running most other industries and utilities through state trade unions and industrial organizations. To reduce its dependence on oil, Libya has emphasized agricultural and industrial developments. However, declining oil revenues in the 1980s led to delays in planned developments. Morocco ranks 6th on the list, boasting a GDP of $140 billion, with a projected GDP of $184 billion by 2030. The economy of this North African country is versatile and stable, experiencing growth in various industries over the past decade. It is the second richest non-oil producing African country. Mining and manufacturing drive Morocco's economy, contributing 30% of its GDP. Agriculture contributes 15%, while services make up the remaining 55%. The country's tourism sector has also seen significant growth, with the government actively promoting Morocco as a tourist destination. Morocco heavily relies on agriculture and is the third largest producer of phosphorus globally. Diversified exports, including electrical equipment, vehicles, and textiles, have greatly benefited the economy. However, internal problems have hindered Morocco's economic growth, with a real GDP growth of only 2.7% in 2019, falling short of the World Bank's estimate of 2.9%. Coming in at number 5 is Angola, a country with one of the largest reserves of raw materials in Africa. Despite its potential, Angola's economy has been negatively affected by resource mismanagement and internal corruption. With a current GDP of over $124 billion, it is projected to reach $226 billion by 2030. Angola's economy heavily relies on oil, with natural gas and oil making up over 1/3 of its GDP. The production and export of crude oil contribute significantly to foreign exchange, with 90% of the nation's export revenue coming from the sale of crude oil. Other notable exports include diamonds and cargo ships. Additionally, agriculture is expected to become an important sector for the economy in the future. Moving on to number 4, we have Algeria, the largest country in Africa located in the north. With a GDP just under $190 billion, Algeria has achieved a notable reduction in poverty by 20% within the last 20 years. The country's economy heavily relies on crude oil reserves, which make up almost 70% of its income. Recent discoveries of more crude oil reserves have further boosted Algeria's industrial growth. Other sectors contributing to the Algerian economy include agriculture, industrial works, commercial services, and construction. Algeria is also one of the largest suppliers of ammonia in Africa. However, it is important to note that recent instability in oil prices, along with political uncertainty and scandals in the hydrocarbon industry, have caused a decline in Algeria's currency reserves and economic growth. Despite these challenges, the country's GDP is projected to reach $330.7 billion by 2030. Taking the third spot is Egypt, an ancient land in northern Africa. While it held the title of the richest country in Africa for many years, the economy suffered following the 2011 revolution during the Arab uprising, leading to a decline in foreign exchange reserves. However, economic activities have improved and stabilized over the last decade, with positive economic growth. The government has implemented an economic reform program in collaboration with the IMF to further strengthen the economy. Egypt's GDP is expected to reach $671 billion by 2030. In 2019, the country experienced a real GDP growth of 5.6% and a decrease in unemployment levels. Moving on to number 2, we have the Republic of South Africa, the southernmost country in Africa. With a highly developed economy, advanced infrastructure, and a GDP of over $400 billion, South Africa is considered one of the fastest developing countries in the world. Unlike other countries on this list, South Africa is not reliant on a single source of revenue. It has a diverse economy, including sectors such as mining, manufacturing, financial services, and tourism. The country is abundant in natural resources and is one of the world's largest exporters of gold and platinum. Tourism also plays a significant role in South Africa's economy. While the country faced a recession in the past, its GDP is projected to reach $810.6 billion by 2030. Finally, at number 1, we have Nigeria, the first African country projected to have a GDP over $1 trillion by 2030. With a population of over 200 million citizens, Nigeria is an essential part of the African economy. Currently, Nigeria holds the position of the richest country in Africa, with a GDP just over $510 billion in 2023. The country's economy is mainly driven by finance, transport, infrastructure, tourism, and its abundant crude oil reserves. Nigeria is the largest exporter of crude oil in Africa, with petroleum exports contributing 10% of the total GDP and over 80% of the export sector revenue. Additionally, Nigeria possesses a wealth of raw materials and natural resources, including coal, limestone, zinc, lead, tin, natural gas, and iron ore. It is important to note that these projections are subject to change due to various factors that can impact economic growth. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe.